the new arrival here. Mr. Edward Alcorda, President of the Australian-Philippine Business Council, Consul General Honorable Keizo Takiwaka, thank you, sir, for your presence. Ladies and gentlemen, magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, good evening. It is great to be in Sydney in this beautiful weather. I arrived here in Sydney on 28 November. I think most of you will remember that day was a thunderstorm day. And I presented my credentials to the Governor-General of the Commonwealth of Australia the following day. This means that I can immediately proceed with the full exercise of my functions as the new Philippine Ambassador to Australia. I wish to thank APBC for inviting me to your year-end gala. I consider engagement with the business community an important tool in our efforts to strengthen our partnership with Australia. You have a significant role to play, and please expect to hear more from me in the coming months. I look forward to learning from you and listening to your ideas as we create more opportunities for trade and investment to further flourish between the Philippines and Australia. You are natural partners of the Embassy. With your business interests in both countries, you have a stake in making sure that bilateral relations between the Philippines and Australia remain robust and that economic ties in particular become healthier and, if possible, equitable. The growth rate of the Philippine economy for the third quarter of 2018 was recorded at 6.1%. While this is below our target of 6.3%, we wish to underscore the fact that the Philippine economy has been growing at least 6% for 14 consecutive quarters, suggesting that we are now in a higher growth trajectory. Further, the Philippines still remains as one of the fastest growing in Asia, next to Vietnam and China. We note considerable growth on the demand side, particularly in the government sector at 14.3%, demand by firms or business at 16.7%, and export demand at 14.3%. The government will enhance the country's manufacturing base to accelerate industry growth through the implementation of relevant policies such as the Inclusive Innovation Industrial Strategy and the Manufacturing Resurgence Program. These will increase the capacity and competitiveness of firms as well as strengthen their linkages into domestic and global value chains. The recent signing of the 11th Foreign Investment Negative List, allowing increased foreign participation in certain areas and activities, will further boost the performance of the manufacturing sector. The services sector, which grew by 6.9% in the third quarter, will continue as the main driver of growth in the near term. This is supported by the growth in the wholesale and retail trade and other services, real estate, renting and business activities, and public administration and defense. The recent opening of Boracay, for those of you who have heard this was closed a few months ago but has now been open to tourists, will boost services growth over the medium term. The World Bank expects the Philippine economy to speed up in the second half of 2018 and in early 2019, and will continue to be among the fastest growing economies in Southeast Asia this year, despite inflationary pressures and rising global uncertainty. While the World Bank lowered its economic outlook for the Philippines in 2018, it maintained its forecast that the Philippines will grow by 6.7% in 2019. According to our own Finance Secretary, Carlos Dominguez III, the Philippines remains on course towards achieving our medium goals of reducing poverty and achieving inclusive growth, driven by stronger investor confidence arising from the implementation of our Build, Build, Build infrastructure program and the comprehensive tax reform program. The Build, Build, Build program includes high-impact projects that are envisioned to increase the productive capacity of the economy, create jobs, increase incomes, and strengthen the investment climate, leading to sustained inclusive growth. This is a massive infrastructure program, and it is expected to generate an average of 1.1 million jobs annually in the medium term, and help in addressing infrastructure bottlenecks to facilitate trade and improve the business environment. At an estimated total cost of $180 billion, The scheme has 75 priority projects under its purview, including airports, rail and urban transport projects, plans for water transport, and power plant ventures. To date, there are 16 awarded projects in the infrastructure pipeline, with 5 projects for procurement, 5 projects for government approval, 6 projects under negotiation, and 10 projects under development. Earlier, I mentioned the 11th Foreign Investment Negative List, which was signed by President Duterte on 29 October 2018. This will help raise the country's competitiveness by opening up more areas for foreign investment into the country, particularly those that will introduce new technology and stimulate innovation. The 11th FINL allows 100% foreign participation in the following businesses: internet businesses, teaching in higher education levels, excluding professional subjects, skills training centers for subjects that are not part of the educational system, adjustment companies, lending companies, financing companies, investment houses, wellness centers. This new FINL also increased the foreign ownership cap to 40% on contracts for construction and repair of locally funded public works, except those that are foreign funded or assisted and required to undergo international competitive auction, from the previous 25%, and private radio communication networks from the previous 20%. In May this year, the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act of 2018 was passed. And our government is working with Congress, our Congress, on the second package of our tax reform legislation that aims to reduce the corporate income tax and rationalize fiscal incentives to create a level playing field for enterprises and attract new players to compete, along with benefiting thousands of micro, small, and medium enterprises that employ the biggest number of Filipinos. This will correct some of the most glaring inequities and inefficiencies in our corporate tax system. The bill was approved on third and final reading by the House of Representatives on 10 September 2018. The government will remain resolute in the implementation of much-needed policy and infrastructure reforms, and our success will only be assured if Filipinos in the Philippines and abroad work with us and remain united under our cause. We've heard earlier about Ed making mention about our trade, our bilateral trade between the Philippines and Australia, which has increased by more than 50% from 1.44 billion in 2016 to 2.1 billion in 2017. The trade relations has been significant, of course, in favor of Australia, and I think we must do something about it. This is not surprising given that our population in the Philippines hovers at 100 million compared to the 25 million market here in Australia. Further growth in the importation of coal, minerals, natural gas, and food and products from Australia by the Philippines is expected as consumption and industrial demand grows. Nonetheless, we believe that there is significant potential for Philippine goods and services to make a bigger mark in this country. The Philippines considers Australia as one of its significant trading partners, and the Philippines is keenly interested in further expanding trade exchanges with Australia, being the country's 15th major trading partner, 22nd export market, and 13th import source. Trade has also become more complementary as the Philippines and Australia are selling products to each other that both countries need. For the Australian market, the Philippines would like to promote automotive parts and electronics such as lead-acid batteries, electrical wiring harness, steel-belted tires, and static converters, processed food such as cocoa butter, desiccated coconut, processed fruits and vegetables, home style such as furniture, gifts, housewares, and holiday decors, wearables such as fashion garments and jewelry, and IT BPM services. Services trade is an increasingly major component of our bilateral trade. The service exports of the Philippines to Australia reached Australian dollars 904 million in 2017 and has been increasing by almost 10% on average for the past 5 years. More than 500 million Australian dollars of our service exports to Australia are IT BPM services, with more than 150 Australian IT BPM companies in the Philippines employing at least 50,000 workers. Major Fortune 500 companies and leading Australian companies like ANZ, Macquarie, Telstra, Acquire, BPO, and many more are outsourcing or offshoring in the Philippines. Services is also a significant driver of the Australian economy, and we hope that we can pursue further engagements on this sector. The Philippines will continue to support efforts to promote free market economy and regional economic integration and preserve the rules-based multilateral trading system. The Philippines and Australia are both parties to the ASEAN-Australia-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement, the most comprehensive trade arrangement that ASEAN has negotiated. Upon entering into force of the ANSPTA in 2015, 96.8% of our merchandise exports enjoyed zero tariff when exported to Australia. By the year 2020, all of our merchandise exports will enjoy zero tariff when exported to Australia. In terms of investments, Australia has a significant contribution to the total IPA approved foreign investments in the Philippines. In 2017, Australia ranked 7th with investments amounting to $78.50 million. Now, the Philippines endeavors to invite further Australian investments in the following sectors: IT, BPM, whether they're call centers, accounting, engineering, design services, software development, and other back office operations. PPP projects or infrastructure, shipbuilding, automotive parts and components manufacturing, light industry manufacturing, agribusiness, food and beverage processing, energy, whether it's traditional or renewable. I am pleased to know that there is significant presence of Philippine investments in this country. According to Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, the Philippines invested Australian dollars 1.3 billion in Australia, a threefold increase as compared to 473 million Australian dollars in 2015. And in 2017, the Philippines is the 8th largest foreign agricultural landowner in Australia. This was really an eye-opener for me. Another eye-opener is that the Victoria International Container Terminal, VICT, owned and managed by ICTSI, is the world's first fully automated international container handling facility according to VICT officials. ICTSI won the government tender for the design, construction, commissioning, and operations of the Port of Melbourne's new international container terminal. VICT is testament to the capability of Philippine companies such as ICTSI to compete alongside Australian and other global companies. We have also made Monty Sin, which entered the Australian market in 2015 by acquiring Australia's iconic brands, Black Swan Tapes and Moody Juices and Yogurts. Ramcar Australia and New Zealand, part of the Ramcar group of companies in the Philippines, manufactures and distributes leading automotive brands such as Supercharged batteries, Marshall batteries, and Excite batteries. So we can never go low-backed. A well-known and highly successful Philippine company, San Miguel Corporation, operates a bottling and packaging company in Australia, and I'm really very pleased that I've met Rene. Nice meeting you. So to keep the momentum and perhaps exceed the current growth level of the Philippines, we need to focus on building capacity in physical infrastructure, human capital, and financial capital. We urge the members of the Business Council and other private sector companies in Australia to partner with us in expanding capacity and investing in innovation and technology. We ask you, our dear kababayans, here in Australia to support our efforts in building confidence in our economy. Join us as we spread the good news about the Philippines and encourage our friends here in Australia to do more business with us. There are many Australian small and medium enterprises that are internationally engaged, and our trade office in Sydney can certainly assist them should they decide to invest in the Philippines, such as through outsourcing. The Philippines is accelerating and deepening policy reforms started in past administration to pursue greater liberalization and ensure an environment where business will continue to thrive. We encourage the APBC to participate in the Philippines' positive growth trajectory and to continue the work that the members have started for a robust and resurgent Philippine-Australia bilateral relations. A final ask that I will leave with you tonight is for you to vote in the Philippine midterm elections and the Australian federal elections. Both will, I think, happily take place in May 2019, my fearless forecast. For the Philippines overseas absentee voting, The ballots will be delivered to your homes, and all you need to do is fill them up and mail the ballots to the embassy or consulate. Suffrage is a hallmark of democracy and responsible citizenship. The Philippines and Australia have a long history of cooperation, and with the active engagement of the APBC with both the governments of the Philippines and Australia, I am confident that we will be able to help expand the trade and investment relations of the two countries. Maraming salamat, thank you, at maligayang Pasko sa inyong lahat, and now I will sit. Thank you.